Good evening, everybody. First thing I'd like to point out is that this video is not intended for general distribution. The people it's intended for are police officers and, well, especially police officers, but also other government officials such as MLAs, basically anybody who is in government in Goa. I'm not too bothered if anybody else sees it, but as I said, it's directly aimed at people in authority because the content is quite important. It'll not be understood by most people, but I'm hoping the people that I'm addressing specifically now will understand what I'm saying. Now, 2 days ago was a very important anniversary, and most of you will not know what the hell I'm talking about, but on 27th of April 2017 there was a High Court decision made, which I'll explain in a second, that had a massive effect on your legal system. But I'll explain from the beginning what happened. Now, when Goa got its independence from Portugal in 1961, it started happily bobbling along, doing its own thing. And one of the things it was doing, its legal system, specifically the police system, was based on the Maharashtra police rules. See, Goa since 1961 has never had its own police rules. They were using Maharashtra's, right, as far as I can tell, right back from 1961. Now, on the 13th of June 2017, so nearly 3 years ago, this criminal con artist that I keep going on about was declared a history sheeter in Goa by SP Karthik Kashyap. The name of that history sheeter, as you all know by now, is Aju Sindali. But what he did, because of his massive ego, he wasn't very happy at being declared a history sheeter, so he took the matter to the courts. He dragged it through the High Court and he won his case because he spent a lot of money on a decent lawyer, and that lawyer was able to argue that the declaration of his client being a history sheeter was invalid on the grounds basically that Goa police weren't following proper procedure. And he was correct, because there was no proper procedure. They were following Maharashtra police rules. So the date of that court case, as I said, 27th of April 2018. Since that date, effectively the High Court has ruled that the Maharashtra police rules are not applicable in Goa. So what does all this mean? Now, let me give you a hypothetical example now. Let's say you have a murderer stood in court. It's clear he murdered, so let's say he murdered 20 people. And he goes and stands in front of a Goa court, and he has a decent, well-paid lawyer with him. And the lawyer, all he needs to do is turn around to the judge and say, "Well, Your Honour, I know that my client committed these 20 murders, but unfortunately there's a slight technical problem in that Goa police have not been following correct procedure, and therefore you cannot find my client guilty." And he would be correct, and the murderer would walk free. Now do you see why this is a big fucking problem? It's because your police in Goa haven't got the correct legal authority to apply the law. I don't know how to explain it any other way. And ever since this date, 2 years and 2 days ago, that the High Court has decided there were no police rules, you should have gotten your fingers out your arses to make sure that Goa does have some police rules. Now, it's my understanding that the police rules are finished. They're waiting to be signed off by some idiot in government. But that idiot, I think I'm referring specifically to the Chief Secretary, he's not signing them off for some reason or other. Now, people are starting to ask, why are they not signing off the police rules? Well, I think it's obvious. The minute it does that, the police are given some proper legal authority. That's exactly what the Chief Secretary doesn't want to happen, because, well, let me explain it another way. If all these crooked politicians are aware that there is no correct legal authority in Goa, in terms of the police at least, they can use that to their advantage anytime they like. Let's say you have a child rapist, and let's say his name is Mr. Montserrat, say. He can stand in front of the court and say to the judge at any point in his High Court or Supreme Court trial or whatever he's accused of, he can stand there and say, well, unfortunately, the police are not following proper procedure. And he's correct. They are not following proper procedure because there isn't one. So that's why it is vitally important to get the Goa police rules and the Goa police manual issued immediately without further delay. Without that document, Goa really is a lawless state. So all this shit that you see in the press about Goa being a lawless state, that is correct as well. The police have zero authority. Now, what do you think will happen when all these convicted criminals find this out? They could just get themselves a lawyer and get themselves out of prison. They'll say, hang on a minute, if Aju Sindali couldn't be declared a history sheeter because there were no police rules, that means, shit, when I was declared a burglar or a, an armed criminal or whatever, when I was convicted for that, there were no police rules then either, so therefore my conviction is unsafe and I can be released from prison. And as soon as that happens, another 10,000 prisoners, or however many there are in Goa, will suddenly realise that they've been convicted without proper justification. You cannot convict somebody unless the correct procedure has been followed, and that's how Aju Sindali has used the law, or the lack of the law, to help himself get his history sheeter status removed. But literally, it can get murderers and rapists out of prison. That's why it's important, and this is why I'm trying to get this Goa police rules. Well, it's never been introduced, but I was going to say reintroduced. I'm trying to get the Goa police rules introduced, because without them, you have no legal system. And nobody sees it apart from me and about 3 other people.